Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Arini Robbiijati, and now I will try to interpret the video from Steve Jobs'
This
speech
program is brought to you by Stanford
via the
University. Please visit
sign-in
us at
for final test.
stanford.edu.
Okay, let's start it.
Thank you.
Terima kasih.
I'm
Saya
honored to be
merasa
with you today for your
tersanjung bisa
commencement from one
berada
of
di
the finest
sini di acara
universities in
wisuda
the world.
Anda dari salah satu universitas terbaik di dunia.
Truth be told,
Sejujurnya,
I never graduated from college,
saya tidak pernah lulus
and
kuliah.
this
Saat
is the
ini,
closest I've ever
saat
gotten
paling
to a college
terdekat saya
graduation.
pada wisuda.
Today, I want to tell
Hari
you
ini,
3 stories
saya
from my
ingin
life.
menceritakan kepada
That's
Anda
it.
3
No
story.
big deal.
Hanya 3
Just
story.
The first story is about
Cerita
connecting the
pertama
dots.
tentang saling menghubungkan
I
titik-titik.
dropped out of Reed College
Saya
after
keluar
the first
dari
6
Reed
months,
College
but
setelah
then
6
stayed
bulan
around as
dan
a
kembali
drop-in
lagi
for
selama
another 18
18
months or
bulan
so before I really quit.
atau lebih sampai saya benar-benar
So
pulih.
why did I drop out?
Jadi mengapa saya memutuskan
It
berhenti
started before I
kuliah?
was born.
Berawal sejak saya dilahirkan ke
My
dunia.
biological mother
Ibu
was a
kandungku saat
young,
itu masih
unwed
muda,
graduate
sudah
student,
menikah,
and
lulusan
she
akademik,
decided to put
dan
me
dia
up for
memutuskan
adoption.
agar aku diadopsi oleh orang
She
lain.
felt very strongly that I should be
Menurutnya aku
adopted
harus
by college
diadopsi oleh
graduates,
seorang sarjana
so
sehingga
everything was all
segalanya
set
sudah
for me to be
dipersiapkan
adopted
agar
at
aku
birth by a
diadopsi oleh
lawyer and his
seorang
wife.
pengacara dan istrinya.
Except that when I popped out,
Namun mereka
they
berubah
decided at the
pikiran
last
ingin
minute
memiliki
that
anak
they really wanted a
perempuan
girl.
setelah aku lahir.
So my parents, who were on a
Jadi
waiting
orang
list,
tuaku
got a
sekarang
call
pada
in the
waktu
middle of the
itu
night
masih
asking,
dalam daftar tunggu
"We've got
adopsi.
an unexpected baby
Menanyakan
boy.
kami memiliki
Do
bayi
you want him?"
laki-laki yang tidak diharapkan.
They
Apakah
said,
Anda ingin
"Of
mengadopsinya?"
course."
Kata mereka, tentu saja.
My biological mother found out
Di
later
kemudian hari,
that my
ibu
mother had
kandungku
never
baru tahu
graduated from
kalau ibu
college,
angkatku
and
tidak
my
pernah lulus
father had
kuliah
never
dan ayahku
graduated from
juga
high
tidak lulus
school.
SMA.
She refused to
Sehingga
sign the
dia
final
menolak untuk
adoption papers.
menandatangani surat adopsi.
She only relented a few
Dan
months
akhirnya
later
baru
when
mau
my parents
memberikanku beberapa
promised
bulan
that I
kemudian
would
setelah
go to
orang tuaku
college.
berjanji akan
This was the
mengkuliahkanku.
start.
Inilah permulaan dari kehidupanku.
And 17 years later,
Dan
I did go
17
to
tahun
college.
kemudian, aku masuk
But
kuliah
I
dan
naively
memilih
chose a
akademi
college that
yang
was
hampir
almost as
semahal
expensive as
Stanford.
Stanford. And all of my working class parents'
Sehingga orang
savings were being
tuaku
spent on my
menggunakan
college
seluruh
tuition.
tabungannya untuk membayar
After
uang
6
kuliah.
months, I
Setelah
couldn't
6
see the
bulan,
value in it.
aku melihat tak ada
I had no
gunanya
idea
itu.
what I wanted to do
Aku
with my
tidak tahu
life,
apa yang
and
kuinginkan
no
dalam
idea how
hidupku.
college
Berpikir
was going to help me
bagaimana
figure it
kuliah
out.
bisa membantuku
And here I
menemukan
was,
jalannya.
spending all
Dan
the money my
disinilah aku
parents had saved
menghabiskan
their
semua
entire
uang yang
life.
sudah dikumpulkan orang tuaku seumur mereka
So I
hidup.
decided to drop out
Jadi aku
and
memutuskan
trust that it
untuk
would
berhenti
all work
kuliah
out
dan
okay.
yakin bahwa segalanya akan
It was
baik-baik
pretty
saja.
scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in on the ones that looked far more
Dan memilih
interesting.
mata kuliah yang
It
menurutku
wasn't all
menarik.
romantic. I didn't have a dorm
Segalanya
room,
tidak
so
begitu
I
indah
slept on the
pada
floor in
waktu
friends'
itu.
rooms.
Aku tidak memiliki
I
kamar di
returned
asrama
Coke
sehingga aku
bottles
tidur
for
di
5-cent
lantai.
deposits to buy
Saya membeli
food,
makan dengan menukarkan
and I would
botol
walk the
Coca-Cola
7
untuk
miles across
mendapatkan
town
minum
every
air.
Sunday night
Dan setiap minggu malam
to get
saya
one
harus
good meal a
berjalan
week
kaki
at the
melintasi
Hare
kota
Krishna
sejauh 7
temple.
mil untuk bisa mendapatkan
loved
makan
it.
malam yang
And
kulit.
much of what I stumbled into
Dan aku menyukai
by
itu.
following my
Aku
curiosity and
melewati
intuition
banyak
turned
hal
out to
dengan
be
mengikuti
priceless
rasa
later
ingin tahu
on.
dan intuisiku
Let me
yang
give you
ternyata
one
menjadi
example.
sangat berharga. Akan kuceritakan
Reed
kisah.
College at that time offered perhaps the
Pada
best
waktu itu di
calligraphy
Reed
instruction
College
in the
menawarkan
country.
mungkin cara membuat
Throughout the
kaligrafi
campus,
terbaik di
every
dunia.
poster,
Melalui
every
setiap
label on
poster di
every
kampus,
drawer was
setiap label
beautifully
di
hand
gambar,
calligraphed.
sungguh sangat indah kaligrafi
Because I had
buatan
dropped
tangan.
out and didn't have to take
Karena
the
aku
normal
sudah
class,
berhenti kuliah dan tidak
I
diharuskan
decided to take
mengambil
a
kelas
calligraphy
reguler,
class to learn how to
aku
do this.
memutuskan untuk mengikuti
I
kelas
learned about
kaligrafi
serif
dan
and sans
belajar.
serif typefaces,
Aku belajar contoh
about
tulisan
varying
serif
the
dan
amount of
sans
space
serif,
between different letter
belajar
combinations,
memvariasikan jumlah
about what
spasi
makes
antara
great
kombinasi huruf yang
typography.
berbeda, belajar bagaimana membuat
It was
tipografi yang
beautiful,
bagus.
historical,
Tipografi yang
artistically
indah,
subtle in
bersejarah,
a way that science
dengan
can't
seni
capture.
tinggi, bahkan ilmu pengetahuan
found it
tidak dapat
fascinating.
memahaminya. Dan menurutku
None of this
sungguh
had
menakjubkan.
even a hope of any practical
Bahkan aku tidak
application
berharap
in my
melakukan ini
life.
akan terjadi menjadi
But 10 years
pekerjaan.
later, when we were
Tetapi
designing the first
10 tahun
Macintosh
kemudian,
computer,
ketika
it
kami
all
merancang
came
desain
back to me.
pertama komputer
And we
Macintosh
designed it all
harapan itu,
into the Mac.
dan kami
It was the
merancang
first
komputer
computer
Mac
with beautiful
pertama dengan
typography.
tipografi yang
If I
sangat
had
indah.
never dropped in on that single
Jika
course in
saja aku
college,
tidak berhenti
the Mac would
kuliah,
have
aku
never
tidak
had
mungkin
multiple typefaces or
Mac
proportionally
mungkin
spaced
tidak akan pernah
fonts.
memiliki beragam
And since
huruf atau
Windows just
huruf-huruf yang
copied the Mac,
bagus.
it's
Karena
likely that
Windows
no
hanya
personal
memiliki
computer would have
sepertinya
them.
tidak ada komputer pribadi yang memiliki hal seperti itu.
If I had never dropped out, I would have never
Kalau
dropped in on
saja saya
that
tidak di
calligraphy
drop out,
class,
saya
and
tidak
personal
akan pernah
computers
ikut
might
dalam
not
kelas
have the wonderful
kaligrafi.
typography
Dan
that they
komputer
do.
pribadi mungkin tidak
Of
akan memiliki
course, it was
tipografi yang
impossible to
seperti
connect the
sekarang.
dots looking
Masa
forward when I
masih
was
di
in
kampus,
college,
tentu saja
but it was
mustahil
very,
saling
very
dapat
clear
menghubungkan
looking
semua
backwards
titik-titik
10
ke
years
masa
later.
depan.
Again, you can't connect the dots looking
Sekali
forward.
lagi,
You can only
tidak
connect them
dapat saling.
looking backwards.
Kita hanya bisa
So you
melihat
have to
hubungan
trust that
antar
the dots
titik
will
ini.
somehow
Jadi
connect
kita
in your
harus
future.
yakin bahwa entah
You have to
bagaimana
trust in
caranya
somehow,
titik-titik ini,
your gut,
kita harus punya
destiny,
keyakinan
life,
terhadap
karma,
sesuatu,
whatever.
baik itu perasaan,
Because
takdir,
believing that the dots
kehidupan,
will
atau
connect
karma.
down the road
Karena dengan
will
percaya
give you
bahwa
the
titik-titik
confidence
itu
to
akan
follow
terhubung
your
di
heart,
kemudian hari,
even
akan
when it
menyembuhkan
leads you off
diri,
the well-worn path,
bahkan ketika
and
kita
that will
sedang
make all the
berjalur
difference.
yang tidak mulus.
My second story is about
Cerita
love
saya yang
and
kedua adalah
loss.
tentang cinta dan kehilangan.
I was lucky. I found what I loved
Saya
to
sangat
do
beruntung
early in life.
menemukan sesuatu yang
Roz
saya
and I
sukai
started
di
Apple
awal
in my
hidup saya.
parents' garage when I was
Terus,
20. We
dan
worked
saya mulai
hard,
Apple
and
di
in
dunia.
10 years, Apple
Kami
had grown
bekerja
from
keras
just the
dalam
two of
10
us in the
tahun
garage
Apple berkembang dari
to a
hanya
$2
kami
billion
berdua dalam
company with
sebuah
over
garasi
4,000
di sebuah
employees.
perusahaan senilai 2
We
miliar
just
dolar
released
dengan
our
lebih dari
finest
4.000
creation,
karyawan.
Macintosh, a
Setahun
year
sebelumnya,
earlier, and I
kami
just
baru
turned
saja,
30.
dan waktu itu saya berusia
And then I
30
got
tahun.
fired.
Lalu saya dipecat.
How can you get fired from a company you started?
Tapi bagaimana sampai bisa
Well,
dipecat dari
as
perusahaan?
Apple grew,
Begini,
we hired someone who
saat
I
Apple
thought was
berkembang,
very
kami
talented to
memperkerjakan
run the
seorang
company
yang
with
waktu itu saya
me. And
pikir
for the
sangat
first year or
berbakat
so,
untuk
things went
menjalankannya.
well.
Di
Then our
tahun-tahun
visions of
pertama
the
semua
future began
berjalan
to
lancar,
diverge,
tapi
and
kemudian
eventually
visi
we
masa
had to
depan
fall
kami
down.
mulai berbeda arah
When we
dan pada
did,
akhirnya kami
our board of
bertemu.
directors sided
Saat
with
itu
me.
Dewan Direktur
And so at 30,
memihak
I was
kepadanya.
out.
Akhirnya saya keluar di
Very
usia
public.
30 tahun.
What had been the
Benar-benar keluar
focus of my
secara
entire adult
keseluruhan.
life was gone,
Apa yang
and
selama
it was
ini menjadi
devastating.
fokus seluruh
I
kehidupan
really
masa
didn't know what to
dewasa,
do for a few
selama
months.
beberapa bulan saya
I felt that
benar-benar
I'd
tidak tahu
let the
harus
previous
berbuat apa.
generation of
Saya
entrepreneurs
merasa
down,
telah
that I'd dropped
mengecewakan
the
generasi
baton that was
pebisnis
being
sebelum
passed
saya
to me.
karena menjatuhkan
I
tongkat
met
estafet
with
yang
David
terus
Packard
dilakukan
and
kepada
Bob
saya.
Morse
Waktu itu
and
saya
tried to
bertemu dengan David
apologize for
Packard
screwing
dan
up
mencoba
so
minta
much.
maaf karena sudah
I
mengacaukan
was a very
segalanya.
public failure, and I even
Saya
thought about
benar-benar
running away
gagal
from
di
the
muka
battle.
publik dan bahkan pernah
But
terpikirkan
something
untuk lari
slowly
dari.
began to dawn on me.
Namun perlahan
I
saya
still
mulai
love
menyadari
what I
sesuatu.
did.
Saya masih mencintai apa yang
The
saya
turn of
lakukan.
events at Apple had not changed that one bit.
Perusahaan yang terjadi
I'd
di
been
Apple sama
rejected,
sekali.
but I was still in
Saya
love.
pernah ditolak, tapi saya masih
And so I
mencintai apa yang
decided to
saya
start
lakukan.
over.
Jadi saya
I didn't see
putuskan
it then,
untuk memulainya.
but it turned out that
Waktu
getting
itu saya
fired from
tidak
Apple was the
menyadarinya,
best thing
tapi
that could
ternyata
have ever
dipecat dari
happened to me.
Apple adalah hal terbaik yang
The
mungkin
heaviness of
terjadi
being
dalam hidup
successful
saya.
was
Beban
replaced by the
menjadi
lightness
sukses terganti
of being a
menjadi rasa
beginner
ringan
again.
karena
I
kembali
was sure
menjadi
about
pemula
it.
yang tidak terlalu yakin.
It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of
Ini
my life.
membebaskan saya untuk dapat
During the next
memasuki
5
salah
years, I
satu.
started a company named
Selama 5
Next,
tahun setelahnya,
another
saya
company
memulai
named
sebuah
Pixar,
perusahaan.
and fell in love
Lalu
with an amazing
perusahaan lain
woman who would
bersama
become my
Pixar dan
wife.
juga kita bersama wanita
Pixar went
luar
on to create
biasa.
the world's first computer
Pixar
animated
terus melaju
feature
dan
film,
kemudian
Toy
menciptakan
Story,
animasi komputer
and is now
pertama
the
di
most
dunia,
successful
Toy Story,
animation
dan kini
studio
merupakan
in the
studio
world.
animasi paling besar di dunia.
In a remarkable turn of events,
Sebuah
Apple
perkembangan
bought
juga
Next,
juga
and I
memudahkan
returned to
Apple
Apple,
membeli
and
Next
the
dan akhirnya
technology
saya
we
kembali
developed
ke
at Next
Apple.
is at the heart of Apple's current
Teknologi yang
renaissance.
kami kembangkan di
And
Next pun
Maureen and
menjadi
I
pusat
have
kebangkitan.
a wonderful family.
Lauren dan saya juga membina keluarga yang
I'm
indah.
pretty sure none of this would have
Saya
happened if I
belum
hadn't
cukup
been
yakin
fired from
semua ini
Apple.
tidak akan terjadi
It was
kalau
awful
saya jauh
tasting
dari
medicine,
komputer.
but I guess the patient
Benar-benar
needed
obat
it.
yang rasanya itu saya sangat tidak enak, tapi
Sometimes
sangat
life's going to
bagus.
hit you in the head with a
Kadang hidup
brick.
seolah menghantam kepala
Don't
kita
lose
dengan
faith.
batu bata.
I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me
Tapi
going
janganlah
is that I
bilang
loved what I did.
Saya telah
You've
diyakinkan
got to
bahwa
find what
satu-satunya
you love. And that
temukanlah
is as
apa
true
yang
for
kalian
work
cintai.
as it is
Itu
for your
berlaku
loved
untuk
ones.
pekerjaan seperti halnya
Your
juga
work
dalam
is going to fill a
percintaan.
large part of your life,
Kelak
and the
pekerjaan
only
Anda
way to
mengisi
be truly
sebagian besar kehidupan
satisfied
Anda.
is to do what you
Cara untuk
believe is
benar-benar
great
merasa
work.
puas adalah
And the
dengan
only way to
meyakini
do
apa-apa
great
yang
work is to
bagus
love
dan
what
saat
you
saat.
do.
Dan satu-satunya cara
If you
melakukan
haven't found
pekerjaan
it
yang
yet,
hebat,
keep looking.
kalau kalian
And
belum
don't
menemukannya,
settle.
teruslah cari.
As
Jangan
with all
berhenti.
matters of the heart, you'll know when
Seperti
you
hal-hal
find
yang
it.
berkaitan dengan kata
And like
hati,
any great
kalian akan tahu.
relationship, it just gets better
Dan
and
seperti
better
halnya sebuah
as the
hubungan luar
years
biasa
roll on.
manapun, semuanya
So
akan menjadi
keep
baik
looking.
sesuai
Don't
perkembangan
settle.
waktu. Jadi teruslah mencari sampai kalian mendapatkannya.
My third story is about
Cerita
death.
ketiga saya adalah tentang
When I
kematian.
was 17, I read a quote that went something
Ketika saya
like,
berumur 17 tahun,
"If
saya
you
pernah
live each
membaca
day
sebuah
as if it
kutipan,
was your
jika
last,
kau menjalani
someday
setiap
you'll most
hari setelah
certainly
itu
be
hari
right."
terakhirmu, maka suatu aku nanti beli kayak itu benar.
It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a scan at 7:30 in the morning, and it clearly showed a tumor on my pancreas. I didn't even know what a pancreas was. The doctors told me this was almost certainly a type of cancer that is incurable, and that I should expect to live no longer than 3 to 6 months. My doctor advised me to go home and get my affairs in order, which is doctor's code for prepare to die. It means to try and tell your kids everything. You thought you'd have the next 10 years to tell them in just a few months. It means to make sure everything is buttoned up so that it will be as easy as possible for your family. It means to say your goodbyes. I lived with that diagnosis all day. Later that evening, I had a biopsy where they stuck an endoscope down my throat, through my stomach and into my intestines, put a needle into my pancreas and got a few cells from the tumor. I was sedated, but my wife, who was there, told me that when they viewed the cells under a microscope, the doctors started crying because it turned out to be a very rare form of pancreatic cancer that is curable with surgery. I had the surgery, and thankfully, I'm fine now. This was the closest I've been to facing death, and I hope it's the closest I get for a few more decades. Having lived through it, I can now say this to you with a bit more certainty than when death was a useful but purely intellectual concept. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. When I was young, there was an amazing publication called the Whole Earth Catalog, which was one of the Bibles of my generation. It was created by a fellow named Stuart Brand, not far from here in Menlo Park, and he brought it to life with his poetic touch. This was in the late 60s, before personal computers and desktop publishing, so it was all made with typewriters, scissors, and Polaroid cameras. It was sort of like Google in paperback form 35 years before Google came along. It was idealistic, overflowing with neat tools and great notions. Stuart and his team put out several issues of the Whole Earth Catalog, and then, when it had run its course, they put out a final issue. It was the mid-1970s, and I was your age. On the back cover of their final issue was a photograph of an early morning country road, the kind you might find yourself hitchhiking on if you were so adventurous. Beneath it were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I have always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Stanford University. Please visit us at stanford.edu.